Hello and welcome to another video. As you can see, we're finishing up the coloring for this angel today, and we're just going in and doing the halo. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't think the halo came out that good. I was looking at the coloring I did for the halo for this previous one, since this is a redraw. And I'm like, oh, I feel like it looks so much better, and the old one looks more like it's glowing. And I just think that maybe I went a little too hard on this coloring of the halo. I think that I made the colors a bit too saturated, because I haven't done a glow effect with markers in a really long time. And so I didn't look up how to do it because I was like, oh, I know how to do it. I've done these before. It's not that hard, right? And then I was like, I should have looked it up beforehand because I got cocky and I don't think it looks very good. But you guys will see the result in a minute. So, the way that I usually approach things that are glowing is that if you look at something that is glowing, right, it usually is very like white, right? And then outside of the white, you'll see like the color it is like very saturated around it. And then it sort of like fades out a little bit, right? And so that's what I was trying to go for here. I put down a really saturated blue and then I started to blend it out. So that way you get like that fuzziness that you usually get on the outside of things that are glowing. I just think that the blue I used was a little bit too saturated. It doesn't look that bad on camera. I just think when I look at it in person, I'm like, ugh. But also I might be too in my head about it. I might have been looking at it for too long. I don't hate the way that this piece came out or anything. I don't think like the halo is the worst thing ever. I just thought maybe I could have planned it a little bit better in advance, like tried it out on a separate piece of paper before I did it on the finished piece. But you know, you live and you learn. Well, I would learn if I would stop making the same mistakes. But the reason I made these same mistakes is just because I'm lazy. And I'm like, I don't need to plan it beforehand. I know what I'm doing. And then I don't know what I'm doing. And then, so you just see me going back and forth with the marker a lot, just because I'm really trying to get it blended out so that way I can get like that fuzzy glow. I think the issue is that I kind of overworked it. Like I went back and forth like a bunch of times. Like I had to cut this video so many times just because I went back and forth over with so many things. This is me using the colorless blender. I don't really use the colorless blender too much. I do use it for glow effects because, like I said, I'm trying to get it to look a little bit fuzzy. But other than that, I don't really use it. I don't really like the colorless blender too much, unless you're blending something out from white. I know some people lay it down and then they put their colors on top if they want to like blend. I don't do that. I just feel like the colorless blender can make things look a little bit splotchy. So I tend not to really use it too much. I think this is probably the first time you ever see me use it on my channel. And then I get into moving the hair. So since the halo is glowing, I kind of wanted the hair to have like a really bright white shine on it. That's what I did in the previous one. But instead of testing it out, I just went in and did it. And then I end up not really liking it. Especially for the bangs, which you see me doing now. Her hair is actually supposed to be pretty dark, like black. Yeah, but I just wouldn't, I feel like too light, and I feel like the bangs look weird. I feel like the rest of the hair is okay. But the bangs look strange because it's like a really bright highlight, and then since it would be highlighting the hair a lot, it's just like gray at the top and black on the bottom. But it doesn't match the other side where they're not the bangs, like the gray doesn't, like there's no black, it's just like gray, and then the bottom part is going to be like a black, so it doesn't really make sense. And it would have made sense if I planned it, and I didn't plan it. I know I'm harping on the fact that I didn't plan it, but I really do think it's really important to plan out your pieces just a little bit. Like if you're like, oh, I'm gonna try something new, try it somewhere else first, okay? Just because it goes wrong so often, especially for me. I'm not good at doing things well on the first try. I need to practice first. Not that everything I do turns out well just because I practice. I mean, there's going to be times where I practice so much, and then when I get to like the finished thing, I choke, and then it comes out not great. But that's also okay. Maybe I'll make a video and show you guys my process from start to finish. You guys follow along with that. It wouldn't be with like a redraw of this piece though, because I've already like conceptualized these. I'm just redrawing them in my current style and with my current skills. But for like an original piece, I just had to think about what I would want to do for it. Maybe I'd do one of my OCs for you guys, just so you could see the process that I have. I don't really tend to do finished illustrations with my OCs, since I tend to like think of them in more story ways. But I mean, manga has like those cover pages that they do like splash art or whatever, and I would be interested in doing those. I always think that the splash art looks so good, but that's probably because they get like more time to work on them than they do in comparison to like the actual chapter. Not that the actual chapters art is bad, but cover slash splash art is usually like fully colored. And I think you get to see like the mangaka's like coloring style come through. And it's always like really bright and colorful and cool. So I would like to do something like that. It's just that I have trouble figuring out concepts that I'd like to do with more than one character together. Like my pieces, my finished pieces are not really super interesting. Usually they're just standing there, and so I'm trying to figure out more dynamic posing and also more dynamic like character interactions for posing. So I'm gonna be trying to practice that. Not this week. I already have a study planned for this week. But maybe next week I'll go into more like character interactions or maybe like study for more dynamic posing. I don't know. We'll see. Sorry, I'm not talking too much about the art. I already kind of talked about what the hair looks like and stuff. Like with the black, you can see me doing it now, and it's like, what even is that? And then I also put some blue in the hair just because I was like, well, the halo would reflect light onto the hair. I'm like, that's not how it would work though. That's not how it should look. Um, it's just I just had trouble with this one. I had fun drawing it. That's probably why there was so many cuts I had to do. Like there's like literally 50 cuts, like literally just in like the first 5 minutes of this. I cut out like what's it was like 18 minutes of footage from this. This was originally a 40-minute drawing, and I ended up cutting out 18 minutes of footage of just like dead air, basically, with just my hand in the frame not doing anything, or just my hand out of the frame not doing anything, just thinking about the piece. I spent a lot of time thinking about it while I was doing it because I didn't plan it out prior. And then also I was just having a good time working on it. Like the piece didn't cut out the way I had planned it, but I did have a lot of fun working on it. And so my hands were kind of erratic. I was just like la 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 la, coloring, doing whatever. And so since I wasn't thinking, it didn't come out great. Like I was thinking, but also not thinking. Does that make sense? Like I was like, I'll just do this. Like I was thinking of things to come up with for the piece, but not carefully thinking about whether or not they were good ideas. So yeah, now you see me working on her hair. The what's it called? The left side of her hair. In a way that I would usually color hair like this. And so I feel like that part of her hair looks nice. Just not the rest of it. So sorry. I know like last week I did a drawing and I was like, I don't really like the way they came out. And then I did this one and I'm like, oh, I don't really like the way it came out. But that's okay. Sometimes our art is just not gonna come out the way that we planned it to. I'm really satisfied with the rest of the drawings this week. So this is probably going to be the only one where I'm like, I don't really like it. But that's probably because this is a finished piece, and we tend to what's it called hold higher standards for finished pieces than we do our little doodle sketches. So I always tend to like my little doodle sketches, and if I don't, I'm like, whatever, I'll just cover them up. But when it's like a finished piece, I always feel a little bit like, oh, it's finished. I should have, done better. But it's just because we're like, oh, it's a loss of potential. Like it could have been good, and then it didn't come out the way I planned it in my head. But not everything is gonna come out how you planned it in your head. Literally, unless you're like a master level artist, it's just like you're not gonna get everything the way that you planned it in your head, and that's okay. Very not very much in life do things come out the way that you plan them in your head. So I think it's better to get used to that than to dwell on it too much. Okay, we have like a couple of minutes of footage of me doing the hair left, but after I get into the hair, I'm gonna be getting into the shirt. So the way that I planned to do this shirt, I didn't plan it. We already know that. But I had an idea. I was like, well, what if I make it an Argyle sweater? I don't know if you guys know what an Argyle sweater is, but basically it's like those sweaters with all the triangles on them. Just Google it. You'll see what it looks like. And so I was like, well, I'll do one of those, right? And so I decided that that was what I was going to do, and I did it. Unfortunately, even though I was looking at a reference for Argyle when I was doing this, I made the triangles very little. And if you notice anything in an Argyle sweater, the triangles are actually kind of pretty big. So I was like, this is looking more like checkerboard. And I was like, well, that's okay. Maybe when I do like the white lines in the sweater, it'll look less like checkerboard and more like argyle. So the way argyle is, it's like it's two different colors of triangles, and then they go over those triangles with white lines to create little white um triangles that are not filled in. They're just outlined of white triangles over top. It's a cute little style. It's like very preppy, and since I wanted her to be kind of preppy, that's what I did. Um, but oh my gosh, the white, I don't know what I did. I think I was pressing too hard. You don't really see it in the video when I get to it, but when I add the white to her sweater, like literally, the white paint splashes all over her sweater. Like it's like just full of little white dots. Thankfully, since this is a video, I do think it's pretty hard to see. Um, but I was like, fuck. I was like, no. And I'm like, I'll just blow it off. You don't see me blow it, but like I blow it because I'm like, it'll come off, right? And I'm like, no, it's paint, guy. It's not gonna come off. And then it just blows like the picture out of frame and I have to grab it. And I was like, oh gosh. And I was like, whatever, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. Because when worst comes to worst, I can fix it digitally. I could just erase all of like the sweater part and just color it in digitally. It's not that big of a deal. Um and then when I was doing the triangles, which you see me planning out the triangles now, um, I was like, okay, I got it, right? And then I just at some point, I was like, how was I doing these again? And I'm like, start making them and to where they're like not little diamond shapes anymore. They're like, I'm like, what am I thinking? What am I doing, dude? I'm like, my brain just like flatline, and it's just like, just make lines and cut, and then you just cross them so that you can get little diamonds. And just something about my brain was like, no, 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 that's not how it works. That's wrong. And I don't know. Um, yeah, I think I should have just like I don't know, made the little diamond shapes bigger or planned them out in advance. We make plans. We already know about how I feel about plans. Plans are good. I just don't make them. But that's okay. I thought about making the sweater blue to contrast like the demon, because like I said, the demon and the angel are kind of like a pair. I planned them out as like a pair. But then I was like, no, I don't really want the blue of her jacket the blue of her sweater to pull away from like the blue of her face, like the blue in her eyes and like the blue from the halo. So I decided not to do that. And I think it looks nice. And the reason that I took that risk of the red drawing away from like the face for the demon is because I just felt like putting her in like a black or like a gray like top or dress or whatever that she has. I just felt like it would be like too bland for a demon. Like a demon would have more of like a showy style. And so the red made more sense character in like a character way in my brain than it did for making like an angel that wants to stand out, because angels are kind of like hidden, I guess, and so they will. I guess demons are also supposed to be hidden. I don't know. Do angels and demons move in the shadows? Like I said, I don't read the Bible. I don't know what it says about the moves that angels and demons are supposed to make. I don't know. I just feel like the angels tend to be more low key, um, in media and in general. So I was just like, well, don't make the angels stand out too much. I do think that there are some people who have done like stories where it's like flipped, where like the angel is the more outlandish one, and like the demon is more like the laid not laid back, but the more like buttoned up corporate type person. I think that dynamic is always fun. It's always fun to flip like these sorts of dynamics on their heads. Maybe I'll do that at a later date. I don't know. I just think corporate demon is so funny because I'm like, that's right. There's nothing more evil than capitalism and like corporate bureaucracy. Not that I work in anything corporate. But I've seen the culture and I was like, yeah, that makes sense that that would be invented by demons. But yeah, that's pretty much all I really have to say about the piece in particular. It just I don't really have much to say about it just because it's pretty by the book coloring. Obviously some things didn't work out, but overall it's not a bad piece. It's a pretty good piece. There's things I don't like, but there's always going to be things that you don't like, especially when you leave and then come back to something. You know, notice all of the mistakes. But that's all right. We all make mistakes. Making mistakes is not the problem, right? Everybody is gonna make mistakes. It's just about how you react to them and how you take them. I used to really beat myself up over mistakes, and I'd be like, "Oh, I just want to fix it. I want to fix it so bad, and I can't fix it because I already posted it or whatever, or whatever." But now I'm kind of like, since I've been drawing with pen for so long, I'm like, whatever, mistakes or whatever. Sometimes if it's really glaring, it's like really bad. Like I will kick myself a little bit for that, but I've been trying not to kick myself too much. And not to say that I don't be like, oh, there's nothing wrong with this. Like there's no mistakes. Like that's not what I mean about not kicking yourself about making mistakes. It's just more about not dwelling on it too much. Um, and it's like, yeah, I know I made mistakes and I could tell you what each of them are, right? But I just have to let them like roll off my back. Like they don't I have to let them not bother me. Just because if every time you make a mistake and aren't you let it sit with you forever, it's gonna be really demotivating. Like you're not gonna want to draw anymore because you think, oh, all I do is make mistakes and things that I make never come out the way that I planned them. Right. And so I feel like it's just better just to laugh them off. Feel like, yeah, I really messed that one up. But it's okay because I can do better next time. Um, yeah, just to keep that hope alive within you because if you don't, like, it's gonna eat you alive, you know? I just realized, I'm running out of things to say, but also, even though we're not at the part of the video where I talk about like, the highlights, I never really told you guys what I use to highlight. I don't think, at least I can't remember if I did. If I did, you could put it in the comments and be like, you told us already, don't tell us again. But I'm gonna do it anyway right now because, I can. So what I usually typically use to highlight is a Uni Posca paint pen. For a long time, I was using gel pen to highlight, right? I had the Uniball Signal, I've had Jelly Rolls, I've had the white version of the Pilot G2. They have those ones one in white also. So I was using those guys, and then I was like, they're nice, they're okay, right? But with a white gel pen, they tend to not be very, very bright white, and also, when I was using them, they would have like a little like line in the middle where like the ink wasn't reaching, like the ink wasn't covering the ball all the way. And so it would get like messed up, and I was just like, and so I just decided that I was gonna switch to a paint pen. I just wasn't sure which paint pen, and then I was like, I guess I'll just use a Posca. And for a long time, I was using the fine point Posca. Um, and recently I just switched to like the bullet shaped one, 0.7. I only know that it's that size because I literally have it in front of me right now. Um, but yeah, I switched over to that one just because I was seeing other people use it, and I was like, oh, that one looks like it's finer than the one that I currently use. I don't know if that's true or if just the bullet shape of it tricked me into thinking that it was a finer point. I have to look at them, but yeah, I use that one now. I feel like maybe it's not a finer point than the one that I was using before, just because I kind of struggle to make it to where I'm not like, um, dang dog, always snoring in my videos. Gosh, I don't know. Anyway, so she, no, so, dang. So yeah, I always have trouble with getting it under the eyes. I feel like I'm always getting it to where it goes over the line art for the eyes, and I don't want it to go under the line art for the eyes. I want it to enhance the line art of the eyes. So I don't know if they make finer point Poscas than the 0.7. Someone could just let me know if they do. I don't think they do though. So that's like one of the drawbacks between using a gel pen versus a paint pen because I feel like my gel pens were at least 0.5. I can't remember now because I got rid of them. I gave them away because I wasn't using them anymore. So I just have to figure out if they have any finer point paint pens. I feel like they probably don't, just because paint tends to get clogged. At least that's what I've noticed from any of the paint pens that I use. They always tend to get clogged, especially when you use them a lot. Even if I'm cleaning them off, which you kind of have to for the Poscas. I don't know what it is. For the other fine point Posca that I had, it was always getting like super covered in paint. Even though I'm like, I don't know why so much paint is coming out. Like you can pump it a little bit more, but I wasn't really pumping it like that. Just because it was for small details. So I don't know what the deal is about that. I would always have to clean it off, and it was always getting clogged. So that's like a drawback of paint. I guess because paint is thicker than gel ink, it's gonna get clogged more. Um, but I do like it's always so bright and it always stands out so much. So I really like it. So it's not like I don't want to use paint. I've seen other people use like paint that they use with like a brush. I don't have any paintbrushes. I got rid of them because I don't like painting. And I don't want to just buy like a tube of white paint and use it with a paintbrush just because I don't like painting and I don't like cleaning up out after paint. And so I'm like, I could get a tube of like gouache and use that. And I'm like, then I have to clean paintbrushes. So like, Do I just keep suffering with the paint pen and just get a little bit thicker lines, or do I try a new type of suffering where I have to clean paintbrushes? Like, I don't know what kind of hell I want to suffer, but I think I'm just gonna stick with the hell that I'm currently in. The devil you know and all that stuff. So now you see me going over with the highlights. I just put it in the same places I usually put it. I put it on the lip, just because I like to emphasize the lips. I put it underneath the eyes, I put it on the cheeks, I put it on the nose, and I put it on the sweater, and I get paint all over the place. You guys already know that, and we already determined that was completely okay. I put a highlight in the eyes. Um, I like to put the little heart as like the pupil. I've done eyes before where the pupil is like the darkest point, and the pupil technically is the darkest point before I add the highlight. Um, but for a long time I was doing like white pupils, and I still really like the look of white pupils. I just wanna have more color in the eyes, so I just do it with the white paint pen now. I don't know, I feel like it looks cuter. And then I just put like a little circle just because I saw someone do like a little circle highlight in the eyes before and I really liked it. Well, it's more of an oval than a circle, but yeah. So yeah, that's the highlights. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and show off the piece. But instead of the piece being by itself, I did put it together with the demon. Just so you could see that how they're supposed to be interacting as a pair. Um, Unfortunately, when I do put them together, I do notice that the angel is like significantly bigger than the demon, which I guess just could mean that the demon is small, but I just feel like I just sized them weird. Um, and so I should have been comparing them when I was drawing them digitally, but I didn't. Um, and so, yeah, and then you see me drawing like the white stripes. They're like completely off. They don't look like triangles, but that's okay. Yeah, so that's the end of the piece. Sorry if this video is a little bit more rambly than I usually do. I didn't write a script for it, and also I didn't really have too much to say past the points of like the mistakes I made, because other than the mistakes, this is pretty much just a by the book illustration for me. Like, it's nothing really too exciting, nothing too special. I think for the next colored piece that I do, it's maybe gonna take a break from these cute girl Tober videos, just because there's not really any variety in them. Like, it's a black and white drawing with a splash of color. I don't really have much to say about them. I'm still gonna be doing them just because I do want to finish out all of the ones that I have sketched out and the ones that I did previously, just so I can have all the redraws done. But I think maybe next week, or I don't know if it's gonna be next week or what, but the next coloring or drawing that I do, I think maybe it's gonna be something else, something a bit more colorful. I did that other one, but that was a doodle in my sketchbook and not a true finished piece. So I think next week or sometime after that, I'm gonna be doing like a real finished sketch or a finished coloring. So I'll see you guys then. Thanks for spending time with me. Bye.